Hello, my name's Jane Newsome and I'm a friend of St Anne's. I'm going to start by reading a passage from the Bible, from St Matthew's Gospel, which is in the New Testament of the Bible, and it's about the story of the feeding of the 5,000. Now, Jesus withdrew in a boat to a deserted place by himself. But when the crowds heard it, they followed him on foot from the towns. When he went ashore, he saw a great crowd, and he had compassion for them and cured their sick. When it was evening, the disciples came to him and said, "This is a deserted place, and the hour is now late. Send the crowds away, so that they may go into the villages and buy food for themselves." Jesus said to them, "They need not go away. You give them something to eat." They replied, "We have nothing here but 5 loaves and 2 fish." And he said, "Bring them here to me." Then he ordered the crowds to sit down on the grass. Taking the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, he looked up to heaven and blessed and broke the loaves and gave them to the disciples, and the disciples gave them to the crowds. And all ate and were filled. And they took up what was left over of the broken pieces. 12 baskets were full. All those who ate were about 5,000 men, besides the women and the children. Well, as many of you know, I helped to coordinate the work of the organisation Hands at Work in Africa here in the UK. Hands at Work serves some of the poorest communities in 8 different countries in southern Africa. We work with orphans and vulnerable children, seeking to provide them with the 3 things that will help them to survive and to flourish: food, education, and basic health care. We have some very wise and experienced leaders in Africa who, when they find a new community in which to work, they spend time getting to know those who already have a heart for the vulnerable children in their community and who are already seeking to look after them. The leaders then offer to walk alongside them, encouraging them to find others in their community to join them and to pool the few resources they have in order to create a care point in the community where the children can come each day to receive a hot meal, to have space to play, and to be known by name. This approach empowers the local people to see the difference that they can make in their communities with the few resources that they have. For example, in a very poor community in Malawi, people were encouraged to bring whatever spare food they had: a bowl of rice, some spare vegetables they'd grown, maybe a few beans or eggs. And they found that by pooling their meagre resources, they could provide a basic, nourishing meal for the children in their community, those who had no one else to look after them. It's the policy of Hands never to go into a community with the offer of money straight away. It's much more empowering and respectful of the local leaders to help them to see what resources they already have before expanding the support, both financial and structural, that Hands can give. In the story of the feeding of the 5,000 that we've just heard, Jesus' disciples were understandably daunted at the number of hungry people there on that isolated hillside. They couldn't possibly feed them all. The problem was too big. So they want to send the people away, to send them away to go and find their own food. After all, they only had 5 loaves and 2 fish. What help was that going to be in feeding 5,000 people, or actually over 5,000 people? But Jesus says, "Bring me what you have." It may seem far too little, the problem may seem far too big, but bring me what you have. And with their offering of trust and generosity and faith, Jesus performs that miracle of abundant generosity, where everyone is filled and there's still food left over. I don't know about you, but I found that it's often because a problem seems far too big that I don't even try to do anything about it. Whether it's an issue in the family or in the community, or a global one like the environmental issue that's threatening the future of our children and grandchildren, the problem is just too big. Whatever difference can I make? And it's very tempting to be like Jesus' disciples, who just wanted to send the people away. They wanted to get rid of the problem because it was too big. Send it away. I can't handle this. It's at moments like that when I find it's good to hear Jesus saying, bring me what you have. Willingly, generously, just bring me what you have. Because I believe it's when a few people have the courage to say, well, this is what I have to bring. May not be much, but I want to make a difference. It's then that we experience the miracle of God's abundant love. I have learnt so much from the care workers in some of the poorest communities in southern Africa. Those brave, extraordinary women who, although they have very little, bring what they have. They give of their time, their compassion, their few resources, so that the children in their care are kept safe and healthy and are known by name. It's a daily experience of the miracle of God's love. May you experience that too. Amen.